One of Space Karen's more frankly fascinating thought bubbles has just sadly been pronounced dead. As 2023 slinks quietly out the back door, the end of the year also marks the end of the road, tragically, for Hyperloop One, formerly Virgin Hyperloop. After 9 years and almost $450 million in investment, they managed to get two human beings up to 107 miles per hour. That's 172 kilometres per hour on a 500-metre test run. Imagine that. Incredible, dude. It's amazing to me that a human being can live at such a speed. It goes without saying that any of us could build a car that would outperform that in 100 metres less track for, I don't know, under 20 grand reliably, and it would do that every day like clockwork until the end of time. Just saying. That was late in 2020, that achievement. 107 miles per two people. Amazing. But today, sadly, Sir Richard Branson has long since boned Virgin Hyperloop. It's now just called Hyperloop One. The doors are closed, the employees are gone, and the intellectual property is packed up and peed off all the way to Dubai amid an impressive cloud of financial and sexual misconduct allegations. Sex and money, dude. 2 out of 3 is not bad, I suppose. Requiescat in parce, Jesus X, literal pipe dream. I expect Hyperloop will be resurrected on Mars any day now, where the building permits are just easier to get across the line. Pity about the base, though. It's still running a bit late. They've all doubtless been flat knacker building bulletproof rolling urinals. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, new cars cheap, Australia only, website, card. Now, to understand the fundamental hilarity of Pipe Dream One's collapse, you really have to jump in the Wayback Machine and join me on a plane to Cuba back in January of 2012. Space Karen and an Iranian-American Silicon Valley investor named Shervin Pishevar, he's the dude who would later leave under a cloud of alleged zucchini-related misconduct allegations from 5 or 6 women. But it's all good at this point in time, okay? Trousers totally zipped in seats 1A and 1C, I suppose. One never really knows what goes on in first class. Let's presume everything is just shipshape, which is like totally medically normal, dude. Jesus and Big Pish are just shooting the shit over, I suppose, a couple of giant sugary mojitos with those little pink bamboo umbrellas on top. They're discussing the Messiah's novel Hyperloop concept. Like, we've all seen the movies, dude. The Pishmeister suggests that you could also move cargo that way, not just people, i.e. in a perfectly straight vacuum tube, hundreds of miles long, levitating on magnets, which are also hundreds of miles long. Simple. To revolutionise transport in this way, we just need a network of totally robust, reliable vacuum tubes spanning all major transport centres on a national and, I suppose, ultimately planetary scale. I do wonder why Boeing, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin never actually queued up to get involved. I suppose that's going to remain one of life's mysteries. Space Karen's interesting alternative to flight was proposed to occur at about Mach 1, roughly, except that you're in a vacuum, obviously, so Mach whatever doesn't really pertain. 760 miles per hour was the proposed speed, which is roughly, I guess, about 1,200-ish k's an hour, and Mach 1 at 1 atmosphere is about 1,240 k's an hour at 20 degrees C, so We're talking about moving faster than a 737 cruising, basically, rocketing down a glorified drinking straw with a vacuum inside floating on magnets. What could possibly go wrong? Fuck you, aviation, I can hear them saying. Still, to be fair, I guess the big advantages of commercial jets are A, they exist, B, they can change direction reasonably easily, and C, you don't have to build thousands of miles of huge vacuum tubes lined with magnets, actually, to make them work. Apart from that, Hyperloop is a goer, dude. Like, let's do this. And of course, for freight, we already have these things. They're called trucks and trains and ships, which also exist, and they're pretty good at moving all kinds of stuff all over the planet. Anyway, Maximum Pish, en route, so to speak, to Cuba, invites Space Karen to write a bullshit paper on his interesting but absurd thought bubble so he can study it in more detail. Jesus X responds that he'd been planning on outsourcing Hyperloop anyway because SpaceX and Tesla were so damn time-consuming. And this is before Space Karen also became the high priest of free speech in the developed world. Like, dude, imagine how busy he is now. So, Electric Cheeses wrote the pivotal Hyperloop Alpha white paper in August of 2013, and Big Pish incorporated Hyperloop technologies shortly thereafter, a few months thereafter. This led to a spectacular cascade of rich idiots opening their trousers and just urinating money profusely all over this project, while every engineer and scientist on the planet who wasn't investing just rolled their eyes because it was patently obvious where the Hyperloop was ultimately headed. Hyperloop really is one of humanity's crowning achievements in my estimation, during a time that will doubtless be known, if there's a future, as the golden age of bullshit. These audacious fuckers launched the Hyperloop One Global Challenge back in 2016 to develop the locations for humanity's first Hyperloop networks. 10 locations were actually chosen in 2017, 4 in America, and 1 each in Canada and Mexico, and 2 each in the UK and India. But about the same time, inconveniently, Hyperloop One co-founder and CTO Brogan Bambrogan, I couldn't make that up, he bailed out. He can fight, I suppose, and his parents have a lot to answer for, in my estimation, of all the possible given names. Anyway, he sued them, Hyperloop One, not his parents, try to keep up, together with 3 other employees. He sued them for financial misconduct and misuse of corporate resources, kind of thing, among other related allegations. Hyperloop One sued Triple B right back, like, stick that in you, Triple B. They alleged he'd been kind of a douche professionally. They settled, and the details were not disclosed, sadly, because I'd really like to know about that. Triple B went on to found a thing called Arrivo, which was another Hyperloop startup, because there's never too much of a good thing in the world, is there? Arrivo promptly performed an impressive digestive tract Mobius strip maneuver and disappeared up its own anus. I think that's another Hyperloop first right there. Amid all this hilarity, the New York Times says that Big Pish bailed out of Hyperloop One in December of 2017 after 5 women inconveniently accused him of sexual misconduct. Big Pish said the decision to pull his own ripcord, so to speak, was his own, and he said the accusations were part of a plot by persons unknown, whose motives were also unknown to him. was all a big secret spear and smear campaign. Freudian slip there, I suppose. Anyway, that was all according to him. It was all a big secret conspiratorial smear campaign. Richard Branson, holder of the Virgin Chalice, of course, pulled out last year when a high-level management decision was taken to focus Hyperloop only on cargo. Fuck that. I'm taking my cash and my Virgin and leaving this building once and forever, he may have said quietly to himself upon being informed of this unexpected turn of events. That leaves DP World, which admittedly sounds like a specialist nightclub in Hamburg's red light district, but is actually the Dubai ports operator holding the used condom of the deflowered Virgin Hyperloop. The used condom of revolutionary new human transportation. It's going to be quite hard to repurpose that, like most used condoms, I'd suggest. What was second prize, I wonder? Corpse of Hyperloop and dinner with Space Karen, most probably. But hey, we'll never know. In the immortal words of renowned social philosopher and expert on avian death, John Cleese, this Hyperloop is no more. It has ceased to be. It's expired and gone to meet its maker. It's a stiff, bereft of life. It rests in peace. If you hadn't nailed it to this fucking perch, it'd be pushing up the daisies. Its metabolic processes are now history. It's off the twig, it's kicked the bucket, it's shuffled off the mortal coil, run down the curtain and joined the choir invisible. This is an ex-Hyperloop. Words to live by. But don't be sad, dude. It hasn't been for nothing. There is plenty we can learn from the withered condom of Hyperloop One. Its existence for nearly a decade is more proof than we actually need of not just one, but two things. Number one, the sheer influential power of the cult of Space Karen. In the golden age of bullshit, the facts really don't matter anymore. All we need is a compelling charlatan sipping a mojito en route to Cuba. The fundamentalist faithful out there are standing by to play Space Karen's flute, any tune he demands. That's all it takes to keep humanity on track to achieve peak bullshit. If you point out the obvious flaws in any Space Karen proposal, that's a venial sin today, and you are therefore just a hater, obviously. Number two, rich idiots and their money, dude. Jaws of life still not required to separate those two. I therefore expect that our species will achieve peak idiot and peak bullshit contemporaneously sometime in the next decade. I can smell it. It's tantalizingly close. And when that happens, doubtless, God will finally reveal herself to us, strutting through the clouds with all three breasts tightly clad in a graphene dominatrix jumpsuit. I've been dreaming of this day for years now. Hey, you worship your God, dude. I'll worship mine. I have no doubt she will immediately hold a stern and memorable day of reckoning, wherein everyone like me who understands mathematics and physics will be cast immediately into the pit of hell where all the interesting conversation takes place. The rest of humanity, perhaps you, will be consigned to heaven. Endless clouds, harp music, and 10,000 free TV channels, all playing back-to-back shows remastered, starring Space Karen. Space Karen's French Cooking Odyssey, Space Karen Survivor, Space Karen Eyewitness News, Space Karen Wants a Wife. The Shield, Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, Star Wars, Blade Runner, The Matrix, Top Gun, all remastered, starring Space Karen. You won't tolerate that for 10 minutes, dude, but you'll be getting it for eternity. Meanwhile, I'm going to be in hell with all the interesting dudes And at least I know how to fix the fucking thermostat.